First, let's start with this case.
So, my 24F mom is living with me since she got divorced a decade ago and has been struggling to manage things on her own since then. She lost her job in the summer and originally was looking a bunch for jobs, but now isn't really doing that. But she met someone working for my apartment recently, and they were talking a little bit for a few months. Now, this talking was literally just seeing each other outside and chatting for a minute before going about their way. Well, she had him over for the first time on Christmas Eve 2024. We were fine with that, but requested he please not stay overnight since he's a stranger to us. She refused to kick him out, and he stayed in our apartment the whole night. After that, I tried to discuss with her some boundaries, which I thought were reasonable. The only boundary I had was for him not to stay overnight until me and my sister got to know him better. She was mad at us for that and frequently argued with us and tried to plead with us, but respected it. But one night, it was weird because she went to bed at 10 p.m. Then at 11 comes to get us saying he texted her wanting to come over and would we let him. We gently stated our boundary again, and she said that she'd already told him he could stay overnight. That hurt me a little, but she ended up telling him to go back home. She was pissed, though, since he lives a few hours away and only comes to the apartment to work. But he could come over a couple nights a week and they'd sleep together, then he'd leave before it got too late. And some of why me and my sister requested this boundary is because our dad was notorious for having random people over when we'd come for visitation as teenagers and not warning us beforehand. And it's also weird because not once have they gone on a traditional date. They never go place together, and my mom has no interest in it. It's only sex in her room a couple nights a week. And she's also been drinking a lot more since meeting him, which concerns me because she's already jobless. Final part of the story is that she says he just broke up with her because me and my sister wouldn't let him stay overnight. I tried to tell my mom we didn't mean never, and just wanted to get to know him before a stranger sleeps in our apartment. I also think it's weird that he would rather not be with her than wait a little bit to sleep with her overnight. And keep in mind that they were seeing each other multiple times per week, just not overnight. My mom is pissed at me and begging me to let him stay overnight so she can get him back, and giving me the whole spiel about how she has always taken care of us, and this is how we repay her. Saying, "Don't you care about my mental health and that he's the only thing that makes her happy?" This has been weighing on me for weeks, so I really need to know. Am I in the wrong for upholding my boundary? Edit. Adding a new section for where the guy lives to make it more clear. Since I shouldn't have buried it in long paragraphs, I don't want to reveal too much, but he lives 3 hours away, and his job involved traveling, so he's down where we are on weekdays and doesn't have a permanent place up here. Sorry guys, I typed this all up in an emotional rush and probably didn't explain myself the best. Yeah, of course, we lived with my mom when I was 14 until college, when I started paying most of the rent, because my mom was struggling. But me and my sister moved for a work opportunity a few years ago, and our mom came with us since she didn't have much at our old place and couldn't pay rent alone, so that's why we live together now. When the divorce happened, we lost the house and have been living in apartments and people's basements since. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. It is 2025. Please inform your mom that a dude who would rather go other to your house with your 2 adults to have sex instead of, I don't know, his home is married. I'm a little confused by your post. You stated your mom started seeing someone who works for your apartment. Then you say that person lives a few hours away. You also stated your mom has lived with you since her divorce a decade ago, but you're only 24. It's hard to follow this whole thing. You're not in the wrong. It sounds like this guy is the apartment complex handyman, and he lives 3 hours away. He's hooking up with your mom in your apartment, and he'd rather stay overnight and wake up at work to save himself a 6-hour round trip. Who knows if this guy is married or what? But he doesn't have your mom's interest at heart. They aren't going on dates. He's used her for sex and probably was planning on staying overnight from the beginning. Since that was off the table, He's probably sweet-talking one of your other neighbors. Regardless of how well you know this guy, you're not obligated to let your mom use your apartment this way. I assume since she's unemployed and not on the lease, she isn't paying 1/3 of the rent. If she's paying rent and has her own room, then she's a roommate and deserves to have visitors the same as you. Next up, so for context, when I 24 mean was 19 when my mom had my younger sister, MJ, not actually her name for privacy. My mom was a drug addict, stopping during pregnancy. But when MJ was about 5 months old, she started back on drugs, dropping MJ off any place she could. Seeing this, I wanted to give MJ a life that she deserved, not what our mother gave me. Even though I was only 19, I filed a petition to get custody of her. It was a long, hard process, but when MJ was 2, I finally got full custody. All this to say, I'm legally MJ's dad. I'm the only dad she knows, and she calls me dad. A year ago, I met my girlfriend Ida, 24F, and we started dating not long after. I really thought I found somebody to like me and MJ. Ida would always take MJ on girls' days and little dates. I proposed to Ida on Sunday. It seemed like everything was great until a few hours ago. Ida was at my apartment having dinner with me and MJ. Well, when I was cooking dinner, I heard MJ say something along the lines of, "You're gonna marry my daddy, and you're gonna be best friend." I thought it was cute until I heard Ida laugh and say, "He's not your dad, MJ," which caught me off guard. I guess she thought I couldn't hear her, because there's a wall between the kitchen. But still, I don't know why Ida said that. MJ was confused, as 5-year-olds are said I was, and Ida kept correcting her until MJ started crying, which honestly made me mad. I asked Ida why she would even say that, and Ida stated she was going to find out eventually, and I was an arse for not telling MJ in the first place. I got mad and one thing led to another. I said some things I shouldn't have, telling her she had no right, and Ida went home and me and MJ had dinner alone. Ida started blowing up my phone later saying what I did was wrong, and basically was just ranting to me through text. I started doubting myself and now I'm here. So am I in the wrong? I was going to tell MJ I was her brother someday. Yes, but when she's old enough to understand, MJ is only 5, she doesn't make sense of it. Also, sorry if I'm bad at explaining. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. But I think it's time you have this conversation with MJ. There are a ton of books out there that can help you talk through adoption. They even make books for little kids about how they are special because they are picked. I'd also start slowly with the story that her mom couldn't take care of her, and you wanted to. You can keep it all age appropriate, but it's a good idea to start socializing this young. You don't want her to be 16 when she finds this all out. You should not marry this woman if you want to be a good dad. I'm willing to bet that Ida told her on purpose. She wants it to be clear to her that she isn't your daughter, so she knows when the two of you have kids that they're the real kids, and she was a charity case. I am also willing to bet she doesn't want her to start seeing her as a mother figure, and that is another reason she told her. Doesn't seem like a coincidence that she told her this after you proposed. She figures she has you secured so she doesn't need to play nice anymore. Edit. You should definitely find happiness and a life partner and have more kids if that is what you want. Just not with someone who won't see your daughter as your daughter, or treat you as such. No, maybe you aren't her bio dad, but like you said, you're the only dad she has ever had or known. It was cruel of Ida to take that from her. Don't marry a woman who would bully, referring to the fact that she wouldn't let it go and had to keep insisting, your child, and make her feel like she doesn't belong. You're not in the wrong. You stepped up and became MJ's father when no one else would, and you've given her a stable and loving home. That makes you her dad, regardless of biology. Ida had no right to tell MJ something so confusing and upsetting, especially at such a young age. That was a conversation for you to have on your timeline, in a way that MJ could actually process. The fact that she kept pushing it even when MJ was crying is honestly alarming. You were right to be mad, and you're not wrong for protecting your daughter's emotional well-being. If Ida doesn't respect your role as MJ's father, that's a huge red flag for your relationship. Next up, I know the title sounds weird, but it's what happened. I work in an office with about 15 other people as an admin. Our jobs are to support the doctors that work in the office. We have about 20 of them in the office. One of my coworkers is severely allergic to peanuts and all tree nuts, so we have a rule that you can't bring those into the office under any circumstances. Their allergy is bad enough that they carry an EpiPen with them everywhere they go. The other day, one of the doctors brought us food from a meeting they attended. It was a bag of sandwiches and 2 large salads. I was helping to take them to the kitchen when I noticed one of the salads had walnuts in it. I told one of my coworkers, and she said someone should take it home as opposed to having it out to share, due to the allergy. I should have gone to another floor and disposed of it immediately. Instead, and this is where I might be the idiot, I said I'd take it home. So I put a giant bright blue post-it on the container that said "Don't open" with my name and put it in the fridge. Unfortunately, I had an emergency come up and had to leave work early. It caused me to forget the salad, and I wasn't going to be back in the office the following day either. So I texted 2 other coworkers and told them about the salad and told them one of them should take it home. Yesterday, I was working from home and got a message from the coworker who had the allergy. They asked if I had left the note in the salad. I explained, yes, but I wasn't the one who brought it in, and I had meant to take it home. Coworker then tells me they had, for some reason, grabbed the salad and now they had to take Benadryl. I apologized profusely, but they were obviously very upset and did wind up leaving work early. Later that day, our boss sent out an email reminding everyone that nuts of any kind, in any form, are forbidden at work and that everyone deserves a safe work environment. This email only went out to all of my coworkers and not to any of the doctors, which I don't feel was fair. I feel terrible. I didn't throw the salad away, but am I in the wrong for not doing so? Let's start judging. We have a rule that you can't bring those into the office under any circumstances. One of the doctors brought us food from a meeting they attended. I'm not sure why you're the one taking the blame here. The doctor who brought the food in was clearly the one in the wrong. I used to work in a medical office, and the doctors were always treated better than the staff, like they could do no wrong, and we always wound up taking the fall for them. Super frustrating, hey? That said, you really should have immediately tossed it. If her allergy is that severe, it doesn't matter who brought the salad in. If you knew about it, it kinda makes you complicit. That also said, why did your coworker with a deadly nut allergy grab food that was not hers and labeled with someone else's name? There has to be some level of personal responsibility here. No matter what the rules of the office are, people can slip up sometimes. If she didn't prepare the food or watch it being prepared herself, she has to take extra precautions. It's just a fact of life for her. I think this is a genuine, everyone sucks post. Everyone you mentioned has some sort of culpability. Edit. The number of people here who think she ate the salad is too damn high. She touched the box it was in, and that gave her enough of a reaction that she had to take Benadryl. If she had eaten it, she would be in the hospital. This just feels like a series of "sorry I forgot" from the whole staff. 1. You did not bring the salad, so it's not your problem. 2. You did choose to make it yours when you put a note on it. But 3. Why did your coworker pick up food that's not theirs? Now it's their problem. 4. You told 2 other people they could take it home. Why didn't one of them throw it out? You forgot to take home something that wasn't even yours. That's easy to forget. You're not in the wrong. I don't think it's any one person's fault, though, arguably, the one apparently stealing other people's salads. What's done is done, as long as they don't try to actively blame you for it later. She took a salad that had someone else's name on it and said, "Do not open," and visibly had walnuts. This person is a doctor? Now I get why people label themselves when getting limbs amputated. Maybe next time write it in bad doctor scribble so she can read. You're not in the wrong. Maybe she needs an optometrist consult for herself. Get her eyes checked. Next up, 21 meters, had a surgical removal of a cyst this afternoon. Mine had a pretty nasty infection, so it had to be removed ASAP. I went to the hospital with my fiancé, 19M, and my parents, 62M, 57F. Everything went very smoothly, thankfully. But as my parents were driving me and my fiancé back to our apartment, we got into a discussion about the medication I was prescribed. Now, my parents are paranoid when it comes to anything addictive. I don't blame them. I'm aware that hydrocodone is incredibly addictive, and am wary of it myself. They straight up told me that I shouldn't take it at all, and just take Tylenol and ibuprofen. I told them I'd rather have the medication I was prescribed just in case my pain got bad once the hospital meds wore off. I wasn't allowed to drive after my surgery, so they were supposed to pick up my medication for me. Well, they did, but with 2 of my hydrocodone pills missing. Well, that's fishy and annoying. I texted my mom basically asking where the pills went. She didn't respond, so I kind of forced it by telling her I'd have to report the pharmacist if it wasn't her. She said, "I took the other 2, and I took them because that's all you can legally have and say to work tomorrow. And then okay?" Wow. I had set money aside for him to be able to get an Uber tomorrow if he needed to anyways. Which she would have known, had she talked to me about it or even brought up these concerns at all. I was pissed. I texted this huge paragraph that was basically saying, either give them back or I'm filing a police report, that stealing hydrocodone was a felony, that I understand her fear, but this was absolutely not the way to go about it. 40 minutes later, I get a "we're here" text and a pounding on my door. I waddle over and open, and my parents are standing in the doorway, pissed as hell. My dad starts by talking about how it was absolutely not okay to threaten legal action, and that I needed to apologize. He said it was his fault that no one talked to me about it, that he's sorry, but then goes on about a 5-minute rant of how I have an addictive personality. I was a smoker when I was 18 and smoke weed. How he's concerned for me, how he would never use the law against me, that the surgeon is giving them out like candy, and that he's heard a lot of cases of people getting addicted to these and didn't want to risk it. I said that being concerned wasn't the issue. He couldn't take away my say on the situation. He couldn't just steal pills from me just because he's scared. At the very least, he should discuss his concerns with me like an adult. He did not like that. He played this game of keep away with the bottle, holding it out to me and then yanking it away to say more to me. Just kept arguing. I got them back after a lot of fighting. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. The fact that you think you might be means his gaslighting is working. They stole from you, lied to you, and tried to manipulate you, and then tried to punish you for your completely normal response. You're not in the wrong. Surgeons are absolutely not just handing opiates out like candy. In fact, many chronic pain patients are now having great difficulty getting meds due to the doctor's reluctance. I got hydrocodone when I had my gallbladder out a few months ago and never ended up taking them. Former addict, scared to relapse. But I'd have been pissed if someone took that choice away from me. You're not in the wrong. They are your meds, not his. They were prescribed by your doctor in the numbers you were supposed to have received. He stole them because he wanted to substitute his agency for yours. That's not okay, and it's entirely reasonable to demand them back, including threatening to involve the law if necessary. He just complained because he didn't like it that you won this one and he had to give them back.